freaking first cut. Golly.
What's going on, YouTube? Round one of the AT&T Byron Nelson in the books. We'll cover that. And yeah, we'll talk Phil. We'll talk Greg. We'll talk those pesky Saudis. So hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed, and we'll jump into it right now. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman. That right there. Kyle Porter. KP. We got a lot to get into, brother. It might have just been a random Thursday before a major championship, but things are happening out there.
Yeah, they are. I'm actually watching Jordan Spieth's wind-up swing as we speak. His little, I can't handle it.
It's like Medusa. You're not supposed to look directly at it.
It's like a warm-up pitch. I can't. It's like, am I watching it's anyway. We're not here to talk about Spieth's 68. Although I feel like him and Scheffler have kept themselves in it, and JT also. We can talk about those guys later.
Yeah, the man out in front, Sebastian Munoz, goes out and shoots a real dirty 60, including 28 on his inward 9. He eagled 12. That's a par 5. He eagled 9. That's a par 5. Statistically, KP, they're still out there on the golf course right now. This is going to be the best round by anyone this season. He'll gain over 10 strokes to the field. It'll be the third best round of anyone on tour in the last 3 seasons. And with a bogey on number 8, which kind of stopped him from shooting a 59, it's going to be the best round with a bogey since that famous Ken Duke 65 in round 3 of the 2016 Players. So pretty historic stuff today.
Yeah, I don't even, there's a lot of different directions we could go with this. First, I think the 10 strokes gained in a round club at the end of the year, we need to do something to celebrate that, because those are, I mean, how many of those do we get a year? Like 4, 3, 5?
Not even. Last year there was 1. Matt Jones, round 1 of the Honda Classic. That was the only one for the 2021 season.
Okay.
2020.
I remember Sung Kang did it one year at I think it was Sung Kang at Pebble. It doesn't happen. You probably got all the numbers right there.
Yeah. So 2020, Scottie Scheffler did it the Northern Trust. That was the 59.
Yeah.
2019, Brooks did it round 1 of the PGA Championship, and Phil did it at the Desert Classic. So I mean, it's like 1 or 2, if you're lucky, 3 a season. It's quite rare.
Yeah, it is quite rare, and it's something that I think should be. It's a cool little club. It's kind of like maybe just a statistical nerd club that we celebrate, but it does represent the very. I mean, you know, like at the end of a baseball season, we celebrate the perfect games and the no hit. Like I feel like it gets a little buried, and I don't think it should. And yeah, it's more impressive at a major championship or whatever, but to gain 10 strokes on a field that coming into the week was 10th best of 2022 so far, that's extraordinary. And I get that the wind was down in the morning and whatever, but it's super impressive. I kind of love the 60 with a bogey. It's kind of the hipster version of 59 without one. It's kind of sweet. He played his last 10 and 10 under, Rick. He was 2 under through 8 and played his last 10 holes in 31 strokes, which is pretty sick. And now he's the favorite. He was somebody that I actually tried to pick him in one and done this week, but I had already used him, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. So, I mean, I've used everybody, so no surprise there. But he's been playing really well, and he's obviously a good iron player, and he's been hitting it really great for a while now.
Yeah, I was watching it with my dad, and when he made eagle on 12, I was like, oh man, he's only got to make 5 more coming in, jokingly, and then he birdied 14 and 16 and 17. I'm like, holy crap! Now he's just got an eagle 18. He's got this thing.
Yeah, seriously.
Got out of hand pretty quickly. You mentioned it. He's the favorite 3-1, according to our friends over at Caesars Sportsbook. Pretty significant gap between him and the rest of the field. Scottie Scheffler finishing up his rounds right now, 11-1. Mito Pereira had himself a good day as well. 12-1 KP. We've seen Seb do this, right? Didn't he be like birdied his first 8 holes out of the gate at one point last year? Staying power wise, how likely is he to close this out?
Well, I think the RSM is instructive. He shot 60 in round one there and finished third. So is he going to, I mean, this is obviously a better field than RSM. And, you know, I think the question is like, is he going to win? You would bet against that, I think, but he's not somebody that it's like okay, he could shoot 60, 73 and miss the cut or whatever. Like he's going to be in it. He's a good player. Like he's what's his, actually, I have no idea. What is his world ranking? Like 60.
You want to guess?
I'll say, I don't even know. I'll say 57.
73.
Okay. So, I mean, she's 75, but it's very different, I think, when you get somebody who, I mean, he putted, you obviously have to putt well to shoot 60, but he hit the ball really well on Thursday, and it's not out of nowhere. He's been hitting the ball. He was one of the best tee to green guys over his last 20 rounds coming into this week. So staying power in terms of winning, maybe. Staying power in terms of finishing in the top 5 or top 10, definitely. I think that is something that I definitely believe in with Bassi.
Led the field in approach, led the field in ball striking, second as of right now, or third as of right now in putting. So that's how you get that combination there. Let's talk a couple of the big boys here. Hideki Matsuyama at least squashed any injury concerns for one day, KP, because he went out and shot an opening round 67. That's 5 under. I thought he looked tactical. I will admit, I just wanted to see like 4 healthy rounds from Hideki, and I watched him play this round this morning, and I bet him next week for Southern Hills. He's my first click of the week for next week.
Well, I think that's wise. You know, some of the I was on the CBS Sports like media preview call on Wednesday with Dottie Pepper and Jim Nance and Nick Faldo and everybody else, and Dottie Pepper was talking about Southern Hills and how it's because like with the redesign, was it Gil Hans? I think it was Gil Hans.
It was, yeah. He tried to restore Perry Maxwell's original design.
Right. And so with the redesign, it's become a little Augusta nationally in terms of the greens are big, but the spots you need to hit are tiny. And that screams Hideki, right? Is dropping iron shots, you know, into a silo that's like 7 feet wide or 5 feet wide or whatever. So, and we don't need to be talking about the PGA Championship right now, but I think that if Hideki's playing well, that type of course is perfect for him. This is I don't think the Byron Nelson is a great fit for him in terms of, to me, Hideki is somebody that you want it to be really difficult, as difficult as possible, and this is just you don't necessarily want Hideki in a putting contest, you know, and that might be a little bit of what the Byron Nelson ends up being. I don't necessarily know. I know that Greg was talking on Monday about how guys that are great approach players have thrived here, I guess, in the one time it was played here last year. So that does scream Hideki, but I just don't love the easy type setup for somebody like him. So is he going to, you know, jump up and finish in the top 5 this week? I don't know about that, but it does portend well for next week at Southern Hills.
Yeah, I just like to see that he's healthy, obviously, and then we'll go from there. Scottie Scheffler just poured in a birdie on 18, so he'll close out his opening round similar to Hideki Matsuyama, a 5 under 67. I'm out of things to say. He's relentless. He just never stops. He's one of the best players in the world, obviously. I don't know what to say about Scottie anymore.
I mean, it's an extraordinary heater. You know, I looked at strokes gained for the I like looking at strokes gained for the year, like 2019, 2020, 2021. And if you look at the best guy each year, I think right now he has the highest number of any leader of any of the like the best guys in a single year over the last 10 years.
Wow.
I think he's at 2.82, which is, I mean, if you're around 3, that's a joke. That's like a Tiger in 2005 or 2008 type number. And that's where he's living at. And I think, you know, is he going to win the PGA too? Is he going to be the favorite? Is he the favorite right now?
I think Rahm still is, but he's like, you know, either a co-favorite or like 2 points behind. He'll be the favorite at some books.
Sorry, I'm looking it up right now.
I mean, I don't think he's going to win just because there's 156 guys and everybody's there, but he's legitimately, he just doesn't stop anymore. And the way that he kind of just ho-hummed through like the whole 4 wins anyway, and it's just, well, I just go play golf. I just go out there and I don't overthink it and I just play golf. Like, we keep saying what a heater he's in. I'm not sure he knows it, and I'm not sure he cares. I think he just literally plays golf. Well,
that's the thing. Him and Rahm are co-favorites at Caesars, by the way, 11-1. Rory's at 12, Morikawa and JT at 14, DJ at 16. The thing about Scheffler is it doesn't, and I've listened to kind of various interviews that he's done over the last few weeks on some different podcasts, and he doesn't, it's not like he's playing that much differently. Like, nothing has necessarily changed a ton from this year to, or from last year to this year. His short games have been really sharp. It's been really good, but it's almost like you can attribute 100% of what he's doing to just being confident, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what it feels like. I don't know if that's, and nobody knows if that's actually true, but that's what it just feels like. He is like, I'm going to go shoot 65. And then tomorrow I'm going to shoot 66. And then the next day I'm going to shoot 64. And he almost doesn't know any better right now, which is the best kind of heater to be on. And that's, he's just exudes so much confidence right now. Not in like in a prickly way, but just in a like, man, this guy is so good type way. And it doesn't mean he's going to win the Byron Nelson, but it's pretty fun to watch, and it's been really impressive to cover over the last couple of months.
Add Dustin Johnson's name to the list of 5 under 67s. I love this scorecard from DJ. Goes out in 31, 5 birdies, bogey free 31. And then he makes 1 par on his second 9. So he makes 4 birdies, 4 bogeys, even par 36 coming in. This is the first round that he's played since, taking the time off, officially getting hitched. Obviously not much rust in the game.
Yeah, I don't know how you make 4 bogeys there. That actually kind of concerns me for the PGA next week. But yeah, I mean, he's probably gonna end up being my one and done play next week at the PGA, just because he's one of like 4 guys I have left, and I think Southern Hills is a great spot for him. So I'd like to see him kind of clean up the card over the next 3 days. I don't need him to win the Byron Nelson or anything, but I think just to clean that up a little bit and have it wasn't as like tight as you would want it to be maybe in the first round from DJ. I mean, the score was still good, but you'd like to see it a little tighter.
Yeah. Speaking of tightening it up, cleaning up the scorecard, Justin Thomas goes out and plays his first 6 holes at 2 over. And you're watching all the birdies roll in, KP, and you're getting a little bit worried here. But he birdies 8, he eagles 9, birdies 10, and then gets 2 more. 1 at 17, 1 at 18. That's 4 under 68. Could have played himself out of it on Thursday with that start. Was able to right the ship. He's still 8 back of Sebastian Munoz, but much better than what things could have been here.
Well, I was watching and he came on early in the telecast in the afternoon on Golf Channel, and you're like, what's going on? Like, I think I picked him up on 8 or on 9. So I think he was 1 over, but he's just, I mean, he's got so many gears that he can go to, and his iron play is just exquisite. I mean, I don't know if there's a category of player that I enjoy watching more than I enjoy watching him like change speeds with his irons. Like, that's maybe my favorite thing on the PGA Tour.
That's
fun. You could argue like maybe Bryson driving or Phil chipping or whatever, but JT changing speeds with his irons is my favorite thing to watch. It's unbelievable. And it makes you wonder, like we talked about earlier this week, how he's only won once in the last, 20 months, 18 months, 22 months, something like that.
Yeah, it was Was it the 20? I always confuse 2020 and 2021 Players Chip. It had to be 2021 because they didn't play it in 2020. So that would have been
Hideki won in 2020.
14 or 15 months ago. It's been a while. It's been a while since JT's won. Jordan Alexander Spieth. You and I did a deep dive on Jordan Spieth, which is now available on my podcasting feed, 300 Yards to Unknown. We could have spent 9 hours talking about Jordan Spieth. Instead, we spent 1. He is 5 under par, 67. I love him around Southern. I love the way he sets up for the rest of the major championships. We've talked about that a lot. Statistically today, he gains with the driver. He lost a little bit on approach and was a positive around the green and with the putter, which is at least a little bit exciting because the putter has been such a huge issue for him for like the last 2 months.
Do you have any? My wife just walked in. Do you have any Scottie Scheffler takes?
Oh,
no, nothing. Spieth,
anything.
She just wants to eat dinner.
That'll do it for this episode of the first one.
So the thing that I was watching with Spieth that stuck out to me, and you see this, and you and I talked about this on your podcast, that it's such a weird year for him statistically because he's thriving with driver, and he did so again on Thursday. And he's kind of flailing, not flailing. For him, he's been mediocre elsewhere. And so I watch him hit driver, and it's like even his misses are pretty good right now. I don't want to need to see the warm-up swing, but it feels like his dispersion is narrower. I don't have the numbers behind that, but just watching him. And then he'll miss these stupid putts that you're like, if he was, it just feels like everything from fairway in is less, again, tight than it used to be. And if that tightens up, man, he's going to be a force with how he's hitting driver, right?
Big time. I don't think he's even sniffed his ceiling yet.
No, I agree. And I don't know that that's how I was looking at it a couple weeks ago, but man, that's where he's always thrived, from fairway to pin to holing out. And people at various times, it's been great iron play, great putter, whatever. But the driver's always been kind of the most up in the air thing. And that's been awesome this year. And watching it on Thursday, it was awesome. So I'm really fascinated to see over the next 2 or 3 months whether he can tighten everything else up and maybe make a run at winning a couple more times this year.
Let's talk Phil and Greg Norman and the Saudis, and we'll get you to dinner here. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. All right, KP. So things are obviously heating up with the LIV Golf Invitational. The PGA Tour has denied all the releases, saying, no, you are not allowed to go play there, which is now going to create a situation where I guess if these guys want to go play, they are doing it against the well wishes of the PGA Tour, and that is going to lead to some type of disciplinary action. We have no idea what that could be, but the tour has drawn a very hard line in the sand.
They have, and it's not. It is surprising, kind of. This was always going to be the case. It's just a matter of when, right? Because you have a situation in which you've got 8 events for the rest of the year, the LIV Golf Invitational Series. 5 of them are in the United States, and the tour is not going to let you go play in Portland or Miami when you should be playing in Illinois, or I don't know what all the tour events that coincide with the LIV Golf stuff, but that just wasn't going to happen. They just did it earlier. And so it's almost cleaner in terms of like the tour saying, okay, you're not doing this at all, rather than like, well, you can play the one in England, but you can't play the one in Portland, right?
This is the way it had to be. It had to be this way.
And I don't know what that, I don't like, I'm the like legal part of this. I do not understand it. I don't really care about it. I just want to know like what the decision is, you know? But that's where it's headed. And I think the big question for me now is who's going to be the sort of lightning rod in court. I think there's a very clear path that Phil is going to take that hit and become like this, in his mind, like a trailblazer, like going to court for the sake of golf or whatever, however it gets portrayed. I don't know if he will be that guy. It'll be somebody, right? That'll kind of be like the symbol for all of this. And I think that's going to play out quicker than we thought. And I hope it plays out in like 3 days, because I don't want to do like 2 years of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to unravel it's going to play out very quickly, because they've got the event in a couple of weeks. So if they go and play that, and then they've now played against the wishes of the PGA Tour, and then they want to come back, like, we're going to learn what the discipline is very, very quickly, which, if you want it to be clean and you want to do it now, I think it's got to be a very harsh punishment, Kyle. It can't be a slap on the wrist. It has to be, okay, give up your tour card for X amount of time, or you're no longer welcome back. It has to be stern.
Yeah, you're right. And man, that's going to be fascinating. Are you banned for life? Are you out for the rest of the year? And I think where it gets even more intriguing is all of a sudden you have this fork in the road, and Eamon Lynch has written really well on this for Golf League. People should check it out. You have this fork in the road for the major championships, because now the majors, who have kind of given lip service to like, yeah, we're like with the PGA Tour and all this stuff, and you're like, are you? Because now being with the PGA Tour means, are you going to ban guys from the PGA Championship? Is the U.S. Open, which takes place after the first LIV Golf Invitational Series event, are they going to ban guys from Brookline? Is the Open Championship at St. Andrews? The whole thing sucks, because especially this summer, we're just talking about this off air, the 150th Open at St. Andrews, it should be a celebratory thing. And now it's going to be like, yo, Bubba can't play in the Open because he's playing at the Centurion Club in June. I have no idea if that's going to happen, but that is like in the realm of possibility now. And I think the question of the rest of the year, other than who's going to be kind of the guy in court that's the lightning rod, is what are the majors going to do? And maybe the Masters doesn't have to deal with that question until after. I mean, they're kind of like out of the way now, right?
Time.
But the other majors, I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions about that next week when Seth Waugh takes the stage at the PGA Championship. And you don't just get to like deal in hypotheticals anymore. You have to actually take a stance. And maybe the PGA skirts it a little, but the Opens won't be able to.
Yeah. I know Jay Monahan listens to the First Cut pod as he should. So here's some free advice. You ban them for a year. A lifetime ban makes you look bad. A year is effectively a lifetime ban, because are your sponsors going to stay with you? There are reports that these guys are going to be asked to wear uniforms in the LIV Golf Invitational, and are the sponsors going to go over and be a part of that? Are they going to want to be a part of that? If you ban them for a year, it is effectively a longer ban than that.
It is, and it's almost like a. And I think this is why you see so many guys that are 40 or 43 or 45 going, because at the point in which there would be the possibility for them to return in 7 years after this thing falls apart or whatever, I don't know if it will, they don't care anyway. Like, what does Lee Westwood care about 7 years from now? Right.
Right.
Exactly. Like it's like getting that last check in the NBA or NFL and then I'm out. Right.
For sure.
And so, yeah, I think that's really good analysis, and it's spot on. I'm curious about what you think the majors are going to do. What is USGA going to do? What is the RNA going to do?
So I've thought for a long time they're just going to punt it as long as they can. Although that's not an option anymore. I believe that they will let them play.
I do too.
I believe that the smartest thing that the LIV Golf series did was tie themselves to the Asian Tour, which allowed official world golf rankings to be divvied out for these events, and they can and they can hide behind the fact of saying, well, this is the qualification process. These guys are in through OWGR points. You might not like it, but that's the truth. And then the majors can say, well, they're within our qualifications, and they don't have to take a stand on it. They can just essentially keep the status quo. And I think that's what they want to do and not look bad. And if they can both just agree that the OWGR is their path for the status quo, I think the majors are going to let it happen.
So my question with that is, are we positive that the LIV Golf events are OWGR? Because, and this is where it gets so confusing.
Not positive of anything.
For sure. Yes, I totally agree. But the LIV Golf investment was in the Asian tour, and that's because they gave them what, $300 million or $200 million over the course of 10 years. And so they have like a stake in that, and like the Saudi International for sure, like they get OWGR points through the Asian tour. But I don't know how that applies to these 8 new events, right?
I don't know either. I assumed they were sanctioned Asian tour events, Jacob.
Go ahead, Jacob.
I mean, I think you get insight for that whenever the PGA Tour announced the sort of ban and changing of the PGA Tour U rules, where they said players in the PGA Tour U are not allowed to participate in professional golf tournaments that is not ranked by the official world golf ranking, which is pretty much your indication that,
that there's not OWGR points.
Yeah, I don't think this first 8 series is going to be OWGR official points.
So the tour's presumption is yes, that there will not be points, and I guess they would know because they're part of the OWGR conglomeration or whatever. But even then, Rick, like even if they don't get OWGR points, I just don't think I can't imagine the RNA being like, yeah, we're like, they don't want to deal with that, right? I think they'll just look at the PGA Tour and be like, I don't know, man, like, good luck.
Sounds like a you problem.
Kinda, right? Like, it's such a, I think when it comes down to it, it's such a price, it's such a costly stance to have to take, like literally costly, because once you start, like once the RNA starts banning people or whoever, you're now in court, right? Like you are now like liable for all of this. And I can't envision that happening.
It's actually better than if the RNA doesn't want these guys involved, or they want to stand with the PGA Tour, and these are not OWGR points events. Well, then these guys who are playing aren't earning any points. They're eventually just going to drop out of the major qualifications if they're not playing on the PGA Tour or anywhere else where they're garnering these points. So it ends up eventually resolving itself without the majors having to take action, which is exactly what I think they want to happen.
That's right. Unless the LIV Golf, and this is where, like, if you're a player, are you banking, and who knows, but like, are you banking on Greg Norman assuring you like, oh, we'll be certified by the OWGR by 2024 or whatever? Like, is that what he's saying? Maybe, I don't know. And 2, do you have any like reassurance that that's actually going to be the case? I guess the flip side of that, you could go start playing Asian events because apparently they're okay with this organization being sort of involved. I don't know. The whole thing is a mess. I'm really fascinated by what the majors do. And that's going to be, I think, I wish it wasn't going to be a storyline next week at the PGA, but it will be. And it'll be even a much bigger deal than last year, especially if Phil shows up.
Oh my God, it's going to be a circus. Last thing on this, because Greg Norman has said some things. On Wednesday, he was doing a news conference in London to apparently promote the first event. I'm not sure that's how it was necessarily taken, because he was asked about the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, and the quote that made its way around the world. And this is And also, this is now like an international story. Like it's New York Times, it's CNN, it's like all these major headlines because there's the political side of it. So Norman would go on to say, in part, quote, "Look, we've all made mistakes, and you just want to learn from those mistakes and how you can correct them going forward." End quote. I was telling Jacob before we went hot, if Phil and Greg Norman's job are to kind of not remind us all the bad things that Saudi Arabia does, they're doing a horrible job at it. All right. Like they bring up everything all the time and they are not being very good, like sports watchers here.
No, they're not. And I saw the quote. I was my son had a baseball game, and so I got on Twitter later last night, and I saw the quote, and it just is, it's almost like parody. Like if you hadn't seen like the incremental lead up to it, and you just took that that quote in a vacuum, you'd be like, this is a parody. And the fact that there was an incremental lead up makes you actually believe that could be said. It's the whole thing is just it's horrible. It's also really a dumb way to kind of address, and there was a Sky Sport, I think it was a Sky Sports interview with Norman and Jamie Weir, who interviewed Lee Westwood the week before, and Jamie Weir pressed Norman on a lot of the political stuff, the obviously that murder, but then also like a recent execution of 81 people in Saudi Arabia, and the answers are just they're really bad and they're very unsatisfactory. And I think people, what they misunderstand with this stuff is it's like some of the responses, well, the United States does some really bad stuff too, for sure. And I've been big on this. The United States is not like, they don't have a stake in the PGA Tour. Like the United States government is not funding the PGA Tour, right? The thing that people don't understand is that the Saudi Arabian government is literally funding this tour. So it's not like, I think people act like you're trying to connect all these dots. It's like literally backed by the government of Saudi Arabia, which is also executing people. That's why there's such an issue with all of this. And I don't know that people understand that. And I don't even know that the people that are running the league totally understand that. Or if they do, they're just like willfully ignoring it or trying to make it go away. And it shouldn't go away. And I don't think it will.
Well, Greg Norman doesn't believe that he answers to Mohammed bin Salman. I wonder how MBS feels about that. And if he thinks that Greg Norman answers to him, I guess we'll find out, Kyle. We are weeks away. And also, as you mentioned, the major championships are our sport is going to be under a microscope next week between the Phil stuff, between everything that's going on with LIV Golf. Yeah, it's just going to be heated up for the next couple of weeks. So get ready for that.
Well, and I think because, at the Masters, two things. One, Tiger overwhelmed everything. And two, there's a little bit of a sense of like, let's not ruin the Masters by talking about all this other stuff. That won't be the case at the PGA. There's just, it's a more informal atmosphere. And now that Tiger's already gotten a tournament in, if Phil shows up, it's going to be a complete and total circus with not just him, but the LIV Golf stuff. Oh yeah, a major championship is being played also. Like it's going to be crazy. It's actually a week that I'm super looking forward to, even though it's going to be completely insane.
We'll be here to cover it all, and we'll be back after rounds 2, 3, and 4 of the AT&T Byron Nelson. For now, big thanks to producer Jacob. Does all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there, Kyle Porter. You can find him on Twitter at Kyle Porter CBS, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.